Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Raise podcast. Today, we are joined by Anna Whitehouse, also known as Mother Pucker. She's a journalist, author, broadcaster, and an advocate for parents everywhere. We're going to be talking about the juggle between work and childcare, feminism and capitalism, ambition and boundaries, and what it means to raise families in a system that wasn't built for parents.
Anna, thank you so much for joining us today. You've been such a strong voice for parents, from flexible working to showcasing honest motherhood. For anyone new to your world, can you briefly talk us through your journey?
Wow. Mother Pucker came from a very angry place originally.
Okay.
It was a lot bluer, the title. I had to water it down to Mother Pucker.
Okay. Oh, that's what it is. Okay.
I think it came from that place, that kind of place of maternal, visceral rage against the patriarchal machine. And that came from a moment, it's better to describe it than explain it, where I was running the sort of childcare gauntlet, I used to say, of picking up my daughter from nursery. And 6 p.m. was the pickup time. And I remember being late and sitting on one of those tiny primary coloured chairs meant for an infant. So I was told off by her wonderful key worker, but you can't be late anymore. And then my daughter was crying because I was late. And I'd apologised profusely to everyone to get there. And I remember just sitting in that moment and saying, it's not my fault. I need to stop apologising because I can't expect my little girl in years to come to be apologising for the same things that also aren't her fault. So Flex Appeal and Mother Pucker came from that very human maternal moment.
Can you tell us more about what Flex Appeal is for anyone who doesn't know, and also break down some of the biggest challenges you faced while trying to advocate for flexible working?
Flex Appeal is a campaign that I sort of launched in 2015, so it's been a decade of knocking on doors to fight for flexible working for everyone. Not just mothers looking to see more of their children, but for dads, because I think I said yesterday on Instagram, long gone are these sort of hapless dad tropes of a 1950s Mad Men era. Men now want to parent and absolutely have to. It's not even a choice. Sort yourselves out, lads. And I think really the challenges I have had is that this is not a maternal issue. Equality isn't for women to fix. And so whenever I talked about flexible working originally, two things happened. It was sort of seen as a sort of fluffy extra, like a little bonus ball or a ping pong table in reception or a little bit of flexible working. Wouldn't that be lovely?
Yeah.
When actually what Flex Appeal is about, what Mother Pucker is about, it's about this fundamental change to the very fabric of our working world.
Yeah.
It's not a little nice to have. It's not a fluffy extra. It is about seismic, systemic change for equality. And so my whole purpose, I've got a lifelong plan, which is to ensure that my daughters aren't raised by me to think that they can do anything and be anyone and have that decision and that drive and that talent curtailed by a system that simply doesn't understand female biology. And so if anyone ever asks, what is Flex Appeal, what is Mother, it's an extension of my parenting. It is a mother's call to arms to a working world that quite simply shuts the door in women's faces the minute we get pregnant.
Yeah. So what did you get kind of pushed through? What was it to enable flexible working to be approved in the workplace?
So the flexible working bill landed in April 2024. I think it was the 8th of April, I remember. That's the day I got the tattoo on my arm of the suffragettes logo. Because I wanted to remind myself that there's no way I would have even been in that room or part of that legislation had it not been for the women who'd paved the way, chained themselves to railings, shouted loudly, burnt their bras before us. And so the flexible working bill came into effect on the 8th of April 2024. And it essentially is cementing flexible working in law. But if I'm being really blunt, it's still really toothless. It's just words on a page. So
there's still change to be made.
There's so much work to be done. And what we really need to see, and what you listening need to implement into your lives, is flex by default. So the onus is not on the employee to fight for their need for flexible working. It's on the employer to have to argue why it can't work. So that's really the core of Flex Appeal, is to ensure that it is assumed in every job, that when you go to that job, there's no like, please sir, could I pick my daughter up on Tuesday and a Thursday? It's assumed you work however, wherever, whenever you want. We're going to measure how good you are. So this is your parameters. These are your KPIs. This is what you need to hit. If you don't hit those, then that's a discussion about your performance. But flexible working shouldn't be on the table. Like, it's not about an ownership role. You know, employers don't own us, as much as Lord Sugar will shout loudly against that. You don't own someone. You know, we're working for you. That doesn't mean you own my entire life. Like, where on earth did we get to in this world where we handed our lives over to an employer for a sum of money?
So true.
When you look at,
think of it like that,
when you look at the basics of a work, an employee-employer relationship, you know, there's never a point where we said, you own my entire life. You own my family life. You own my health, my mental health. You tell me where to sit and what to do. I'm not a puppet in your show. I will work for you, but that's a relationship. That's not ownership. And so really everything I'm fighting for is to realign the stars and shift the landscape and this really unlevel playing field that currently women are sort of falling over on, because it's just weighted against us.
And you're giving people the confidence to know how to stand up for themselves as well, because it was a discussion that wasn't probably had until you made it more mainstream, I guess.
The words flexible working and bill, I can say to both you and anyone listening, good God, I never imagined those words would be cemented in law. So it doesn't mean that it's working. It's a hell of a lot more to do. But it's not now seen as something that employers can ignore. It's now, we're in a world where in the Industrial Revolution, when the 9-to-5 was born, that was when men went out and earned the bacon and women just cooked it. Well, do you know what we're all like earning and cooking and raising and doing it all? So it's a really different landscape. And flexible working is simply the working world in 2025 waking up to the fact that things have changed and the world of work needs to change with it.
Why do you think flexibility is still treated like a perk and not a basic human right?
I think because of fear, that ownership I came back to with the kind of Sir Dysons, the Jacob Rees-Moggs, the Lord Sugars, who are touting these kind of elusive water cooler moments as reasons for us all to be strapped to our slab of MDF under a strip light, like a battery chicken. You know, like, I think there's a fear, capitalist fear of losing control and people realising that when they're happier and healthier, that actually stronger, we're less in need of buying rubbish and eating rubbish and putting rubbish on our faces. When we're happier and more connected in our personal lives, financially, we don't need to paper over the cracks. But I think that there's a fear that you release people and you enable them to be happy, suddenly they want less stuff. And I think there's an element of that in it, to be absolutely honest. I really do.
So where do you think the system fails parents the most? Like, how are parents meant to survive in this current society? You know, it's like childcare prices are so expensive. Annual leave doesn't even cover the school holidays. Like, it's are we set up to fail kind of in this system?
100% at the moment. I think it's a very difficult set up for parents. I mean, the birth rate is its lowest since 1937 because, you know, Gen Z are looking at us going,
why do I want that?
No. Actually,
so true.
No, I don't want to sign up for that. Because I said this the other day, you know, when anyone says, you know, what do you want for Mother's Day or what do you want for your birthday? I'm like, do you know, all I want is affordable childcare, flexible working, but men to be afforded flexible working. So I think the biggest restraints at the moment to gender pay gap closing, to women succeeding, is that men are not being enabled or empowered to step up in the role of parent, 2 weeks paternity leave. What the heck is that? Like, you have a baby and that 2-week juncture, your boobs are leaking, you're crying, your scars are burning. I mean, what's left of your undercarriage is vaguely held together by a pair of postpartum pants.
Yeah.
You are not okay. No one is okay.
Yeah.
And that 2-week juncture, where I think it goes potentially from baby blues to postnatal depression, that crossroads for maternal mental health, your partner is ripped away and he then deals with separation anxiety and disconnection from the family unit. It's cruel. It's brutal. And I think that that's the place to start.
Well, it's not the same in every country, is it?
No.
Either?
No.
Yeah.
So why have we done it in this country?
Because we're so behind.
yeah.
Like,
I don't really need to ask why, do I?
no. Well, I had one baby in the Netherlands and one baby in London. So one baby in Amsterdam, one in London. I was absolutely fine with my first daughter. And you get in Holland the equivalent of a maternity nurse who lives with you for 10 days postpartum, called a Kramzorg. And she wraps her arms around you, makes sure you can breastfeed or bottle feed, whatever you choose. She ensures you're fed well, that you're sleeping, that you and your partner are navigating one of the biggest junctures of your relationship.
Yeah.
She is there to hold the mother who's holding the baby.
Wow.
And the reason the Dutch invest in that 10 days of maternal support is because it reduces the costs in antidepressants and anxiety meds long term. So they make a saving by holding the woman who's holding the baby.
Yeah.
Over here, 24 hours later, still being stitched up and wheeled out.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I had postnatal depression with my second daughter. And I genuinely thought this is the most wonderful thing I've ever done with my first daughter. Two wildly different systems where both parents in the former are supported to parent. They have what's called a mamadag and a papadag in Holland, where no parent is allowed to go back full time. So if you are a parent, you have a mamadag or a papadag. So 4 days a week is the maximum you can go back in Holland.
I didn't know
So
that.
when we are talking about these slightly, it feels almost detached or slightly utopian visions for a future of parenting and women being able to sort of raise children while raising their careers. It's not utopian. It's not fantasy. It's happening in other countries. So this
And
hunch
it's also
that
how we
it's-
would have done it
Yeah.
before the Industrial Revolution. And it's just crazy how it's almost like we've totally forgotten how we should live as human beings. And
Totally.
it's just become about this system that is all about making money. And it's, I mean, it's pretty obvious, but yeah.
and women are drowning in it. And I think
Yeah.
anybody listening right now, you are not going mad.
Yeah.
You know, we are, and I think we can all say it, a generation of utterly burnt out, tapped out, financially drained
Yeah.
mothers.
Yeah.
And so if you are sat here listening to this, feeling quite emotional and going, good God, like I felt like this was me failing. No, you are being failed. There's a really big difference here. And I won't stop this fight because I'm not meant to be here. I don't really enjoy campaigning. I'm an accidental activist. This was not my career trajectory. It wasn't. But do you know what? The alternative was that I'd say the very words my mum said to me, which was, Anna, you can do anything and you can be anyone. And she set me up for a complete fall. And so I can't raise those 3 little girls, look them in the eye and genuinely say, come on, work hard in your ABCs, you know, do your GCSEs, you can do this. What do you want to be? Who do you want to be? Let's get to degree level or wherever you go with that first job with your first laptop and your first phone and you feel like, you know, you're the helm of Dragon's Den and all of that, to have someone say you can't be anything, you can't be anyone. The minute, and it's really blunt, that sperm hits ovum, that's it. That's the juncture where 74,000 mothers every year get cut out of the workforce. That is not a small figure, and that's ever growing, and that does not include NDAs, gagging orders, everybody silenced. So that is, there's a quiet demographic that you can probably triple that. And that's happening right now under our nose. It's probably happening to some people listening right now. It's happened to me. And so I say this is an extension of parenting because I can't raise them and tell them, I almost want to say, don't go there, because you're going to be pushed down, cut out, minimized, eradicated, essentially. Maternity discrimination is real. So yeah, it's very personal, but also I think it's something that each and every one of us has carried.
I think there is going to be some change, though, in the way that the world is working and the way jobs are going to change in the future with AI, and people are now kind of become more entrepreneurial. I feel like the systems are changing. So hopefully there can be a bit more freedom in people's decisions and how they choose to live as well,
Definitely.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
There needs to be, basically, doesn't there?
That does.
Just a quick pause to talk about something we don't speak about enough: hormones.
Because for most of us, it's not that our bodies are broken, it's that our hormones can fluctuate. And when that happens, everything feels harder. From sleep, energy, mood, digestion, all of it.
That's exactly why we both use Happy Mammoth. It's one of the few wellness brands we truly trust when it comes to hormone health. Everything they make is evidence-based and designed specifically for women's bodies.
I've been taking Estro Control, which helps to support healthy estrogen metabolism and bring your cycle back into balance. I honestly can't believe the difference, and it's the first time I've felt more comfortable and balanced during my cycle in years. No mood swings, no bloating, no heaviness. It just felt normal, which is huge.
And I take Hormone Harmony, which helps to support healthy cortisol levels, steady energy and overall well-being. It's helped me feel more rested, focused and emotionally steady throughout the month.
What we both love about Happy Mammoth is that they're not trying to fix you. They're helping your body work the way it's meant to.
It's been such a game changer for both of us. If your hormones have been feeling all over the place, then this is your time to start supporting them properly.
You can find both Estro Control and Hormone Harmony at happymammoth.com, and you'll get 15% off your first order with the code RAISE at checkout.
As we've just discussed, motherhood and capitalism don't exist peacefully. If you could redesign the system, schools, work and structure, what would it actually look like?
A lot of companies say, what should my flexible working policy be? How should I do it? And the problem is, as soon as you have a flexible working policy, it immediately becomes inflexible. So really the heart of how we work, how we educate our children, how we navigate the world needs to be a world, for me, where humans ebb and flow between home and office, fueled by tech and founded on trust. And I think that is it. That is my flexible working model, is empower your employees to be entrepreneurs in their own right. Invest in them so they invest in your company. And I think, I'll be really frank, I won't get onto this sort of education school system because that's not my realm, and it often ignites fierce debate. The only thing I will say is that we need to question the structures that we're operating in 2025. You know, if the Industrial Revolution, where the 9 to 5 was formed, is no longer working, then I think we need to question a school setup, an education system, you know, where I think parents who are expected to cover 6 weeks of summer holidays, you know, I think that doesn't even cover your annual leave. It's not even close to what you need to do. So what are we expected to do? And then the offset of that is overpriced, underfunded school clubs that cost the earth and you can't get access to. So it's almost like a cul-de-sac that we hit in terms of how the system is working quite simply against us right now.
And I know you spoke about how dads can show up in this conversation too, and it's like most families are now 2-income households, right?
Yeah.
So how can men become more of this conversation with regards to flexible working? Because I guess it's a new concept, I think, for a lot of families, that men step up in the way that they are, you know, in this age.
Totally. So there was some interesting research that landed yesterday from Working Families and the Waits Group, who funded it. And they found 1 in 5 men hear this when they put their flexible working request in is, well, where's your wife? Can't your wife do that? Or I've heard recently...
That does give me goosebumps, actually, because it's so frustrating, isn't it? It's such a mum issue, isn't it? A lot of things it's the mum by default has to take all the sacrifice, all the blame, or, you know...
Physically,
all of that.
financially, emotionally,
Let's say it's
professionally.
babysitting when a dad has.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
it's so different, isn't it? It's like, we'll just be told that, say, for example, with our husbands, they'll say, oh, I'm doing this, whereas we almost say, oh, can I book in with you that I want to go and see my friend or have an appointment or whatever. It's so different, isn't it? Whereas they don't ask for our approval.
No.
Or for us to sign something off, you know?
No, it's you're right. It's not babysitting your own child. It's not daddy daycare.
Yeah.
To be really fair, though, like the majority of men I know and love all want to step up or want to parent, but only 1 in 10 flexible working requests goes through for men, whereas 4 in 10 go through for women. So coming back to that word default, the assumption,
It goes the other way.
burden, or I say bulk, not burden, because my children are an utter joy.
Of course. Yeah.
But the weight of childcare is still strapped firmly to female shoulders. And there's 2 bits to answer your question. One is, it is not emasculating caring for your own children. So that sense of, oh, I don't want to ask for flexible working because, you know, no one else does in my office, and, oh, that's going to be uncomfortable. It's something emasculating is penned to a man wanting to work flexibly and pick up his children. It's still very there. It's ingrained, I think, in the system. And I think men need to break through that and counter that. There's nothing more masculine than raising your own child.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
It's that simple. I think then we also need to look within our own 4 walls, because when you question within your own 4 walls whose job is most important, generally look at it on a financial level, you know, and most families have to an extent. But I think there needs to be big conversations that you have with your partner, if you are with a partner, where you go, well, actually, my purpose is worth this. My drive, my mental health, all of this is just because of unequal pay and the gender pay gap. Of course, you're going to be earning more. You know, but that doesn't negate or devalue or minimize my drive, my purpose, everything I've worked towards. Just because I'm not remunerated fairly doesn't mean I should be written off internally within my family.
Yeah.
So there's fights internally and then there's fights externally.
Do you think the word feminism still means what it used to, or has it been co-opted by corporate culture?
I think there's a lot of chat around the word, and I think, to be honest, the drive is still the same. I think we get so caught up maybe in the language when actually the heart and the focus, the reason we're talking today is because ultimately it's a collaborative effort to equalise and make sure that we are working side by side and equal to the opposite sex. It's no more complicated. So I don't really think those debates or discussions bear any weight, because ultimately it's the only thing I think that needs to happen is that feminism is intersectional, that it's not just white privileged feminism that abounds, and I say that from an incredibly white and privileged position, but that it's all encompassing. That's where I think feminism is being let down at the moment, that it's perhaps to an extent there's not an understanding of that intersectionality.
So you've been online for, what did you say, like 10 years or you
10
started?
years, yeah.
How have you seen the tone of, I guess, motherhood content, or how mothers are showing up over that time?
I mean, I think I sort of landed online when, you know, nothing against the publication, but it was mainly Mother and Baby magazine discussions over what nipple teat to have. And that was motherhood.
Yeah.
That's how I saw motherhood,
Yeah.
was what Paisley, Kath Kidston bag, nappy bag were you going to choose?
Yeah.
And that's maybe being wildly unfair, but that was my experience when I landed. And I remember pitching in at the time features on maternity discrimination, flexible working, everything we've spoken about today, and just had doors slammed in my face. No one wanted to talk about it. I even had feminist publications say, oh, we only actually go up to wedding dresses. Like, feminism doesn't encompass motherhood. It was very much like, I don't know if you felt this, but motherhood 10 years ago was almost like you were sectioned off. It was almost like out to pasture. She's not coming back from maternity leave. It was written off, sectioned off, minimized, eradicated. There was almost this kind of saccharine version in ethereal white robes wafting around, with, like I said, paisley bags and discussions on what bugaboo to have.
Yeah.
And that is wildly maybe unfair, but I'm just saying from my perspective, that's how it was. And all I saw was my friends, myself, being written out, being undermined, being made redundant, being discriminated against, these really big, weighty words that were being papered over by, discussions over what nappy bag to get. Yeah. And I just thought there's way more to motherhood than, I think we talk about adolescence, it's matrescence, that evolving into a new woman. I was utterly broken by motherhood, but good God, am I a stronger version of myself now? Yeah. It's like those pieces that were shattered. Yeah. It was like a sledgehammer was taken to the center of me, and I was staring at the floor with all these shattered pieces of my former self, having no idea how to put them back together again, almost picking up shards of glass and bleeding and going, I don't know how to do this. Yeah. But then in those moments where you're so broken is when you realize you're the strongest. 100%. And I think motherhood for me, what I've seen in terms of online content now is it is showing that reality, that paradox that I think was never there before, that paradox where all three of us right now are more exhausted, but ultimately more exalted. We are tired, but we're also like energized. We're weak on so many levels for everything we've physically given to our children, but we're stronger than ever before. So I think it's holding those two sides of matrescence, those two sides of a mother, and celebrating both sides, because without that weakness, without that vulnerability, there's no way I would have come through that stronger. And that, I think, is the motherhood that we're seeing now.
And I think it gives you something to fight for as well, doesn't it? It's like those seeing our children in the next generation. It's like we don't want them to go through what we've been through.
No. You think of the generation of women that came before us who were having miscarriages in kind of avocado bathrooms and then going downstairs and putting a smile on it and putting a doily on the table and having a dinner party, with shoulder padded blouse on. The women before us who it was just silence and hushed pain and swept aside. And I think now we're loudly grieving, we're loudly shouting about the realities, and we're loudly fighting to not be written off the minute we go on maternity leave.
Yeah. And I guess this is very much from a corporate kind of view of the workplace, and I don't have much experience of that, and and especially because we've kind of had our own businesses over the time. What do you see women struggling with the most when it comes to this, and then they become mums?
I think it's loss of self, loss of almost purpose outside of family, and feeling guilty for wanting purpose outside of family, because we've been told that we are defined by who we marry and the number of children we have. I think there's still echoes of that.
Yeah, there seems to be quite a big divide. I don't know if it's my algorithm at the moment, between women saying, well, we are meant to kind of...
Oh, like the trad wife.
Yeah, exactly. I see that. And to me, that also seems appealing. But then there's also an inner fire in me that thinks, no, I want to have purpose and have a career as well. And it's like you feel guilt either way. Yeah. And it's like, what are we supposed to do? We can't win, can we?
There's never dad guilt. There's only ever mum guilt.
So true.
So you never hear working dad. You only hear working mum,
Yeah, so true.
I think that, we carry that guilt. But I wrote a post a couple of years ago that I didn't really think much of, but it resonated hugely. And the words I used were, work is my something, but my daughters are my everything. And I think the two can sit side by side. This expectation that you are this red-souled, shoed, like fierce, tiger mom sitting in some glass-walled office, or you are, trad wife at home holding the children. No, the majority of us, much like how I'm fighting for flexible working, hybrid working, the majority of us want a little bit of time in the office, but a bit of time at home, working from home. We don't want all at home or all in the office, but we want a hybrid model. And I think the majority of us sit somewhere between those two extremes of fierce CEO mum and, you know, trad wife with her apron on going, my place is absolutely here in the kitchen. The majority of us like a bit of both. And I don't think there's really been enough room to hold those two sides of any woman. And I think if you ask any man, it sits in a similar place increasingly, that men want to be able to hold their children, but also they're very proud of there's still a bit of them that wants to bring in the bacon, but we do too. And I think we all together as a family cook the bacon. Talking a lot about bacon, but I think it's trying to recognise the family unit sits on a precipice, I think, of deconstruction when you don't have this really quite precarious setting in place, and you don't take into account what your something is. You can love your family with all your heart, but what is that something for you? Because if you are not driving forward on that, you are resenting the space it leaves. You're resenting the structure that is curtailing your conversation, curtailing your drive, curtailing your financial security, maybe, you know? And so I think this isn't always a talk about flexible working, which can seem like quite a dull business topic at times. The reality is flexible working sits there like next to divorce rates. It sits there next to significant anxiety and depression, disconnection. You see the tip of the iceberg, which is gender pay gap, flexible working, stop being mean to mums, stop discriminating. But the underbelly of all those words is divorce. I'm divorced, you know, it's pain, it's resentment, it's rage, it's exhaustion, it's discontent. There are so many human elements underneath those words and those mechanisms in the working world that are underestimated. They're attached to so much more.
So how do you personally deal with any mum guilt that you've experienced, and what would you recommend to listeners? Because I think we've all experienced it, and as somebody who is kind of navigating and putting up this fight, it's like, how do you deal with it on a personal level? Because you're so career driven, you're working so hard for this, but do you experience that as well, the kind of mum guilt?
No,
you don't.
Not at all.
Okay.
I refuse to, and it's amazing. If I'm being honest, they're words that I would encourage anyone to write out of their vocabulary.
Okay.
Because there is no dad guilt, and there should not be any parental guilt. Because, good God, you're doing your best.
It's so drummed into us.
I've never heard that analogy in itself. Is just there's no dad guilt. Just is like. Huge. I'm just like, like that's mad, isn't it? And that's the first time I've heard of that.
I think completely separate guilt, remove it from administrative, like crossroads. Okay. So like, for example, the best way I can describe that is I don't feel guilty being here today, but I will explain to my daughters explicitly, today mummy's done this and I was really proud of it and I spoke about this. Or if I have to do a call, I don't just quietly go, can you guys go and watch TV or Roblox and shove them in a corner? I explicitly say, I'm doing a call with this brand and I'm really excited about it. And it means that we can go on holiday. You know, and it will take me maybe 30 seconds more to explain it. Sometimes when I've been on my phone a bit too long, I go, I'm so sorry, mummy's been on her phone a bit too much. I'm going to put it down soon, but I just need to finish 2 emails. Do you want to see them? And they look at my phone and I'm like, this is what I'm doing. So there's not this eerie silence between you and your family of absorption into a world of work and disconnection from that family life. The two will have to go hand in hand. And there will be moments, like I say this, not from a place of having got it right. I say it from a place of having got it horribly wrong. Where my daughter said to me 8 years ago, Mummy, I sometimes think you don't like me very much when you're on your phone. And I remember thinking, okay, so what can I do here to ensure that she understands my something? This is really important, not just as some little recreational side hustle or a little hobby for mummy to, you know, occupy her time outside of your school hours. How can I explain to her how important this is to me? That it's not more important than her, but how important it is to me. And how can I equally be transparent with her about what I'm doing? And what that has done has now made her start to talk to her friends going, oh, my mummy's just doing a podcast recording with these two brilliant women from a podcast called Raise. And she talked about me and my sister Eve. And, you know, she can articulate a little bit. I've given her almost Duplo blocks of understanding around what I do, and I haven't underestimated her.
Yeah.
And I think we shouldn't underestimate our children. Sometimes she's like, all right, mummy, you've been yapping on a bit. I'm bored now. Whatever. I'm really, really happy for you and your achievements. But today I'd just like to play Roblox, if that's okay, in Minecraft. But yeah, I just urge you to never, ever put mum guilt on your shoulders. You're carrying too much already. Don't add that.
Yeah, I
We
think
needed to hear that.
Yeah, we did.
As I've started approaching my 40s, I've noticed a few things shifting. My metabolism slowed down, my skin and hair need more support, and that morning energy I used to have in my 30s just isn't the same.
And the more I've learned about it, the more I've realised it's not just about anti-aging. It's about supporting your body's natural processes every day so you actually feel your best long term.
Exactly. That's what led me to V14, and it's become my daily longevity ritual. It's basically 2 products in one. You get your full daily stack of essential vitamins and minerals for energy and focus, plus 14 science-backed longevity nutrients like NMN, resveratrol, quercetin and fisetin to support healthy aging from the inside out.
It's such an easy addition, especially when I need something quick in the morning. I just mix it into my morning smoothie. It tastes great, it's all natural, and every batch is third-party tested so you know it's clean and pure.
I actually just love drinking it in water too. It tastes great, and honestly, I've really noticed a difference. Steady energy, better focus, and also I've noticed my recovery from the gym is better too.
I agree with that, and because longevity isn't just about looking younger, it's about feeling stronger and performing better every day.
And the good news is you can try V14 with 20% off just for Raise listeners.
Just head to v14.com and use the code RAISE at checkout.
It's the one daily habit your future self will thank you for.
And I think it's really hard, isn't it? Because I guess, and it depends on your family situation. Like I know for me, the hardest thing when I first had kids was that I still needed to work, but I didn't want to be away from my child. And I think that's really hard, isn't it, in the workplace, of this push and pull with between wanting your own thing, but also still wanting to be the prime caregiver of your child. And I know some people actually don't even have that choice. You know, I've had friends that they're having a career, they have a child, and then it's like, okay, they need to then pay thousands of pounds a month to go back to work, and that doesn't sit right either. You know, it's like,
and all their earnings are then going on childcare.
And it's like thousands of pounds just to still want to continue your career, because it means something to them.
Second and third mortgage almost. Yeah. You know, the investment in the childcare sector is the equivalent of the government going, right, we're going to build the M25. Really great. You guys will be able to get from A to B quicker. Lovely stuff. And you get in your car and you start driving and you realise they've only really tarmacked a third of it. So they might say you can get from A to B. They might say you have childcare. But ultimately it means nothing if it's not properly funded. And it's wildly underfunded and it's wildly overpriced. And the people that are, you know, the collateral damage of that are the wonderful key workers who are working within these environments. And parents. I mean, I was paying, I think, I was earning 50p a month after childcare.
Yeah, I have some friends and they literally had like nothing.
And it shouldn't be coming out of my salary. You know, it should be equal with my partner. But unfortunately, I'm being, you know, transparent. That's kind of how I think this was 10 years ago. We thought was, well, if I go to work, I have to pay for childcare to justify that. And so, it's a warped system where,
and sometimes mothers are priced out of even having that option because they actually can't afford or don't earn enough to pay the nursery fee. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't balance in their favour.
No. And I think, like, coming back to the country examples, in Sweden, I was on a trip there with a New York Times journalist, and she was looking around at the crowds and she's like, oh my God, there's like loads of male nannies here. It's so bizarre, isn't it? And I looked at her and I was like, no, these are dad's parenting. Like, This is what equality looks
Wow.
like. And it was, coming back to, this is not some exhausted hunch from a mummy who's fighting for something better for her daughters. Yes, I am. But this is happening elsewhere.
Yeah.
The optics alone. I hate that they're called latte puppers. There's equivalent to yummy mummies is latte puppers, which is so patronising and ridiculous and doesn't make sense. But yes, this New Yorker was like, what? I was like, yeah, they're men parenting. God forbid that this happens.
Wow.
So yeah, I think we are woefully behind.
We are. But what gives you hope right now, Anna, with regards to all of this? Like, are you seeing real change? Obviously with what you've done, but in the future, do you see even more change happening?
Because there's women like you both. There's now women at the helm of the newspapers who were saying no to my features on flexible working. I don't need to ask permission anymore. I can just speak. I think for all of the fears and worries of social media, what it has done is break down a media empire and rebuilt it with individual, different, unique voices rising to the fore. I'm incredibly hopeful, but to have hope is to also be realistic about what needs to happen between now and maybe the time my daughters enter the workforce. And I think the best way I can answer that is an example from Birmingham Women's Hospital, where we piloted flexible working in the NHS. Now, you'd think the one place where you couldn't work flexibly would be on the front line in the NHS. And the matron, what she did simply was hand over the roster to her nurses and said, I'm no longer going to organise your roster. You're going to do it amongst yourselves and tell me what you've agreed. Really simple mechanism for change. Flexible working can look like core hours, compressed hours, job shares, but it can also look like ward-led rostering, which is the nurses being empowered to determine their work life. And so what happened in that time, in that 3-month period, was the nurses worked together and covered each other. Like, imagine right now the things that you could explain to your colleagues. I've got a date with my boyfriend on Tuesday, humanising the workplace or the NHS. My son's in the nativity on Wednesday. My dad's got Alzheimer's and he really needs a cottage pie to be delivered to him, and that's a punctuation point in his life that matters. Humanizing your needs outside of work, coming back to you're not owned, it's a relationship. And what happened within that time was the nurses were empowered. There was far less turnover of staff, so staff retention increased. But the big bit in this always makes you emotional is that there were fewer deaths on wards that were led. Sorry. There were fewer deaths on wards that are led flexibly. So if people see flexible working as this like B2B corporate C-suite thing to do, exhausted, like, oh God, we've got to get on board with flexible working. It's categorically sometimes a case of life and death. It's categorically, from personal experience, a difference between a relationship working and divorce. It's categorically down to your relationship with your children. It's so much more. And I use that example because I went back into that ward, and not only were patients thriving in the way they weren't before, like nurses who'd got into the industry not for money but for utter passion were able to care for patients and go home and care for their babies. Like, why are we such a cruel society, working world, where we are simply, if you look at the optics of it, you look at a photo of a corporate legal banking office and you put that alongside a battery farm, all we're doing is caging people. And you look at free-range chickens, they make better eggs, they're happier, they live longer. Of course, a capitalist society is not going to want that. That's all that we're fighting for here, really, is it's not about business. It's about companies leading with EQ, emotional intelligence, as well as IQ. And I think for the world to be human and humane, that is the future, the hope that I have. And I know for my girls, I won't rest. And for your kids, I won't rest until that playing field is level, until I can categorically look them in the eye and say, yeah, you can do anything and you can be anyone and no one is going to stand in your way.
Wow. I feel
Living
like
the
mic drop. Yeah, honestly, I suppose all we can genuinely say from the heart is thank you.
Yeah.
And what you're doing is just absolutely incredible.
What would you say? I'm just thinking, and it's like, I think that resonated so much for me. It's like we can all relate to feeling so burnt out and overwhelmed and overstretched, and we're really trying our best all the fucking time, you know. What would you say to a mum who's feeling that way?
You know, we're so done with having it all. No one wants it all. Like, that is such an archaic concept. But I think the thing is, we're doing it all. And all is not good. You know, you don't feel great after an all-you-can-eat buffet. All is not great. So I would say to recognise right now that you are doing it all, that the invisible load remains invisible, that the ferrying, the form filling, the emotional supporting, the therapizing, the party planning, the knicker sorting, all of these things you are doing on a daily basis that punctuate your day and leave you feeling utterly exhausted. A stay-at-home mum's salary should be minimum 250k a year when you tally up that work. And I think I would say recognize that, hold yourself in that. Don't feel pressured by me time, because that feels like another thing you have to do. The one thing that has helped me, because I think we need really practical, short, easy things to do, is throughout my day, I'm tired, I'm burnt out. Like, we're three of us are sitting here. We've been more of a therapy session, crying session. We're not, you know, we've all got our own things we brought to the table today. And anyone listening will have the things out back, like the compressing your chest and a vice-like grip around you being able to fully breathe in. Like, we're all there. But what has helped me is a very simple mechanism in my day, which is after each module of school run, podcast recording, maybe doctor's appointment, I take 1 minute without fail to look up, breathe in, stretch, and think about a moment that happened in that prior segment that I'm really grateful for. Now, if you had said to me, I'd be saying these words 10 years ago, like some, like, you know, burnt out, exhausted meme, I would have laughed in your face and said, Jesus Christ, she's sounding like a sort of awkward, broken Instagram meme. But I think the thing is, we need some quite practical solutions to the burnout we're feeling. That's not even going to cut the muscle. That's going to scratch the surface. But what it has done is it's stopped me from like railroading through my day. It has stopped me from blustering on to the next thing and not having a second to punctuate my day with moments, because I don't have time for me time. I don't have time to go to the spa for the day. I don't even want to do that. But punctuation points, I think, of time that you can give yourself amongst recognizing that unfortunately we are the collateral damage of a working world that is expecting us to do it all right now. My mum even said to me, who I dedicated my last book to, she said, look, I know I shouldn't say this because of everything you fight for, but I truly just think it was so much easier when I stayed at home and your dad went out to work and we had defined roles. She said, I actually can see you burning out in front of my eyes because you're trying to do it all. And I was like, Mum, I know it's not what I should respond with, but I actually think you're right. It's not right. But I think you're right in the concept of it was.
That's why this trad role is like what you said. It's like it seems appealing in some ways because when you're coming from a broken, burnt out place, that does seem quite appealing.
But then what do you do when you've got that inner fire, inner calling? It's like we're being torn in so many directions.
No, and it won't stop until there is true equality in the workplace and at home. And that is, like we said, it's not daddy daycare or babysitting your own children. It is men being fully enabled to hold the babies as well as women.
Yeah, I think it's really amazing that this conversation is happening and that men are kind of really joining that conversation.
Because they want to. A lot of men want to as well, don't they? We need to remember
I'd say the
that.
majority.
Yeah.
And I think, it's time I think it's not even about flexible working. It's inclusive working. Include men at the table, include those with caring responsibilities, those with disabilities, inclusive working. That's it.
Yeah, and inclusive parenting. It's like it works, as you said, in the home as well. A quick pause to tell you about one of our favourite partners, Exhale Coffee.
You know what I realised the other day? For years, I blamed caffeine for making me anxious, but it turns out it wasn't the caffeine at all. It was the toxins in the coffee itself. Coffee's actually one of the most pesticide-sprayed crops in the world, and it can be full of mould and mycotoxins, which explains the jittery, wired but tired feeling after your morning cup.
That makes so much sense. I switched to Excel recently, and honestly, I can tell the difference straight away. It's organic, independently lab tested, and completely free from mold, mycotoxins, pesticides, all the stuff you literally don't want to start your day with.
It's also the first coffee in the UK that's actually designed with your health in mind, packed with antioxidants and polyphenols so you can get clean, calm energy instead of that crash.
Exactly. I feel focused, not frantic, like it gives you energy that actually feels good in your body.
If you love coffee but you don't love how it sometimes makes you feel, this could genuinely change everything.
And the best bit? Excel are giving away free trial bags right now, and they even cover the shipping.
Just head to exhalecoffee.com/raise to claim yours.
We're running out of time, aren't we?
Oh, should we
Jump to some quick fire?
Yeah.
These will
Absolutely.
all feel very surfaced in comparison.
Yes, they
now.
will.
After that intense, that was an amazing conversation.
Thanks, Anna.
No, welcome, my love.
Okay. God, it does seem really surface. I can't even ask.
We always do these kind of. It's a bit more getting to know you, I suppose.
Yeah,
as well.
okay.
And
But I think again, there's space for both, right?
Yeah.
Like often I'll be doing a massive like feminist rant, and then someone will go, "I'm really sorry to ask, but where's your lipstick from?"
Yeah.
But this is
And like I think it's important to sit in that.
Yeah.
Like you can absolutely be listening to what I'm saying and also wondering,
Where's your jacket
And you never
from?
know
Where's
where
your
a
really nice
conversation is
blazer?
going to go either. So I was not expecting tears tonight. What is the best thing you have bought recently?
what is it? I think it is actually this Zara
I do love that.
two-piece
Yeah.
with big 80s power shoulders. It's a brown pinstriped suit. And it's the first thing I've worn where I've just gone, you know, like when you used to read those features in Grazia magazine and they'd say this will take you seamlessly from day to night. I'm like, this will take me seamlessly from school run to sleepless night.
Or podcast and school.
It's sort of like uniform.
a good bridge.
Yeah, comfort, but then
It
actually
is. It's
feeling,
giving comfort on the bottom.
Yeah.
And podcast on the top. Yeah.
athleisure on the bottom and 80s powerhouse on the top.
No, it's really nice. I literally was going to ask you where it's from. What's a parenting hack that you swear by?
A parenting hack I swear by. It's actually not a great one, but I'm probably going to get struck off for this. But my daughters, when I'm in that frenzied bit in the morning of going shoes on, coat on, shoes on, coat on, with my youngest, I've started just putting her outside the door and asking her what she might need, and it's sped things up a bit, and she goes, coat. I'm like, yeah, put it on. Shoes. Yep, there we go. Because I've asked so many times that I can't ask anymore. And I'm like, what do you need?
I'm going to try that.
It's cold
tomorrow.
outside.
Yeah.
And
Feed
it's helped.
it. Yeah. Oh, actually, I might need something on my feet. It's wet. Yeah.
Actually, now you mention it, shoes would be a
love
good
that.
idea. So, I always try and get them to work out what they need and try and empower them to understand that. And I think the other thing is with time. So when I say, look, we've got to go in 5 minutes, we've got to go. They don't know what 5 minutes is. So on our clock, I've got yellow and blue and green and red. So I'd be like, we've only got yellow until we have to go. So there's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
Right.
And then they can look at it and they know then when it reaches the end of yellow that they've got to go. They don't understand, they didn't understand time, but they understood colours.
See it, the visuals.
And so it's again those little moments of just getting them to feel a bit empowered in their decisions, you know.
That. Be
We
putting
need
my
to
kids
link
out
the
tomorrow.
clock.
Who's your favourite person or people to follow on Instagram?
I love Zoe from Motherkind. I think she's brilliant. I think she's coming back to matrescence that we talked about. She does a lot around that evolving of woman into mother. I love her. I really love following Female Quotient. You know, I just think that they have
I don't follow that.
No.
so many brilliant, you know, when you're feeling you need to be energized by stats around why the system's so messed
Okay.
up.
Yeah,
You're suddenly like,
100%.
okay, it's
Yeah.
not just me.
Yeah.
Suddenly there'll be like a quote or a stat that will say, it was only in 1974 that women could get a credit card. And you're like, oh, I'm so angry.
Okay.
And then it fires you up.
And you're like, right, here we go. Let's go, girl.
Let's do this.
Let's do this.
What's a book that's changed your life?
So the book I would recommend is Raising Hair by Chloe Dalton. I read it a couple of months ago and it is brilliant. It's about her pandemic experience where she connected, it's non-fiction, so it's real life, where she connected with a baby hair, a little baby, and she raised it in her house. And it's just about that relationship, I think, with ourselves when we're alone and our connection to kind of nature. And she really gets into those feelings, I think, much like our maternal instinct that I think that we feel sometimes that we question. It's coming back to nature, coming back to that maternal instinct, coming back to that nurturing and nature and sort of resetting and starting again, which is coming back to everything I fight for, kind of what I feel needs to happen.
Yeah.
Like when I said to you, like, we are owned by companies, but really we shouldn't be. Like we're handing over a portion of our talent and skill set for money, a portion, not the whole. So this book really for me like epitomized that back to nature, back to those maternal instincts vibe.
I love that.
And that's so true, isn't it? It's like when we actually think of why we're born on this earth, it's like, what's it all about? It's not to go and work in an office to make money for this system, is it? So yeah, thank you for reminding us of everything today, because I think we both needed this conversation and I'm sure lots of the listeners will as well.
It's been more like a women's healing, I was going to say circle, triangle.
It's a little triangle.
Yeah, Anna, thank you. Where can people find you?
Yes, so it's mother_pucker on Instagram and then motherpucker.co.uk online. And my latest book is called Influenced and it's available on Amazon, and it is dedicated to my mum and to a generation of women who were very much written out and written off the minute they had a child.
Amazing.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much.
much.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.